Um, I hope this is coherent and worthy. I'm gonna do a where y'all are at, where I'm at, where God's at format. Because this is such a multi-layered series of developments that like I can't even begin to tap into the layers of human how everything's being propelled like through okay. I need to find my words so that this isn't like a bajillion hours long. So where y'all are at, and excuse my bitterness with this observation, is I think there's a real struggle with me not being where you left me, or in terms of like family, friends, and I would say even like industry, like there's this, I feel like really strong intention of like, we're gonna leave you where you're at, and God has no intentions of leaving me where y'all left me at, and that bothers people to no end. I think first we saw that with industry, family and friends were gonna leave me where I'm at, and industry managed to seemingly not leave me where I'm at. I was in a terrible place, but the fact that the industry picked up this presence really bothered people that wanted to leave me where I was at. And I think the same thing is happening again with God. Like, I've said this before, like, this kind of thing, but now it's kind of, like, God has, like, elevated me beyond people's intentions for me, and specifically family, friends, and industry, and later industry. And for that same reason has kept me reading my notes. So has kept me down to not threaten that intention so severely, because it's such a serious intention from people. There's no anything that is happening in my life that is envious, worthy of your envy, or I mean, there's a ton of God things that are happening that I'm like, this is unbelievably amazing, but I don't think that's, I mean, like, that's a new thing that people are like kind of like feeling left out of, but it just is, it's very powerful. Like, it's like avoiding embarrassment, pursuing anger and envy. Like, there's just very powerful moving things, and just the idea that I'm not where you like, and that keeps on coming up in terms of people's reoccurring intentions, like narratives that keep on wanting to put me back where they want me, like putting me in my place, and I don't seem to stay in that place, and that is like, it's almost like it's like like it's an impossible survival, literally and on a epic level, like, but like it's a insurmountable reputation that I am being faced with, and it keeps on getting like carved out more and more when I don't seem to submit. And it's not really me. I'm like, I submit to my reputation. I just know God a little bit, so I know a little bit more about what people's intentions are. Like, I I don't really know about their actual actions or words, but like I know what their intentions are, and that's like enough for me to be like, I don't care what you said. But or I do care, because I do care, but it's just, anyways, that's where people are at. They're people, and so therefore, because I'm not where my family friends have left me, and therefore, and then industry, I feel like industry kind of plays into this, like where they left me, you know, like fine, you know, if you're too good for us, like you think you're too good for us, like stay where you're at, like a kind of attitude. I think it's like you keep wanting to put me back to where you think I should be. And the truth is that I've never not been in a down place. And it's just really interesting because God does like make it clear that a slow growth trajectory is the best way to not threaten people's sense of empowerment in the situation, because my lack of dying and lack of succumbing to my circumstances is really threatening in some way. Like, and this is like the best way things, you know, like I have to be in a really low place in life. And God, you know, makes me see like even in this low place, you've found things that fulfill you. So bear it through. Like I love things in my life, but it's not, it doesn't feel like this is where I should be in so many ways, like literally physically, and like capability wise, and for so many reasons, anyways, but it's like the least threatening trajectory, because really what's at hand is an unprecedented amount of power and influence and you know, like say, so let's just slowly reveal that to people. So I feel like y'all are at this place where my family, friends, and industry have bled into your takeaway from things, and y'all are just like hella bitter. And I feel like I try to imagine like you guys in this like cage of as far as you can possibly understand things on a lot of levels, because a lot of it is really hard to believe, but a lot of it's just like miscommunication, misinformation, and malintention. So it's like this cage of like, if you're not in this cage, you're in this bigger cage and bigger cage and bigger cage, like and maybe those doors will be unlocked in a timely manner for you. That's how it is for me. Like I'm not allowed to like know things that I'm not ready to know, and I'm told things that I might, you know, it's kind of interesting. Tact, it's just God's tact for me, so kind of see it there for you. And then where I'm at is I have this like forever I've had like survivor's guilt, whether it's from living in like destitution in Nicaragua to not necessarily like having it a tough life in America to you know, like recently like the happenings in court, and judges ruling in favor of like my, you know, rehabilitation efforts, and so those are like recent. And then also like me not dying all the time is kind of like, so I have survivor's guilt for all these things. But then I've noticed that like the kind of, there's this one theme that keeps coming up where it's, I have survivor's guilt in terms of my redemption. Like everyone can be redeemed, but so many people aren't redeemed. Like how many, like whether it's people who like die to police brutality, which is like a thing, you know, like when people died of police brutality, like not like their court happenings afterwards, but like the fact that it gets caught up in court instead of just like there's a redemption for that person. Like when women are like beaten by their husbands and wherever, all over the world, like, and then maybe they die. I don't know, there's this thing where there's like so many people don't have redemption in life. They don't get recognized. Their truth doesn't get recognized. They don't need to be recognized publicly, but like I guess I fear for their sense of like that there is a just force and ultimate justice in the world. And so I have this like, my note says survivor's guilt for being redeemed, and it's just like the latest survivor's guilt I have, because I have this like thing in life where I'm like, I crumble in my privilege, which is totally ridiculous, but it's like what it is. And like, and I guess like I sometimes like, I think the thing that gets me all the time with like human interaction and like people's like picking on me is like, they don't understand me, you know, but then God reassures me like they will, and it'll be okay. And then I'm like, so I'm suffering in your misunderstanding of me, and then I'm like having a hard time with accepting that like I get to look forward to my like truth, and the fact that like the truth is my truth is also the ultimate truth is so, I guess like I really can't afford to like crumble in my privilege with that. I really just have to be like worth it and optimize it, and like, you know, because essentially what it means is that it's a preface to how redemption for all can be sustained and maintained. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't have to, like, I do feel bad that like my truth is glorified in the end, and that just, it's because it's not the norm yet, but I should be like, okay, hey, like my truth is being glorified. We can all look forward to this. Our children can look forward to this, like, dynamic. Like, the way the justice system, like, worked out for me. It understood me. Like, it functioned the proper way. And no one's used to that, so they're angry. But, like, we can all look forward to that, really, like, under full understanding from a justice system. I mean, maybe not, like, my generation, but, like, our kids and our kids' kids, like, it's gonna you know, it's, like, that's kind of what this is. Like, my childhood friends are kind of, like, an example of how much God will have his hand in, like, what justice really means and looks like and feels like, and the extent of accountability there is, like, to our intentions and the results and who weighs what, you know, kind of thing. So, but that's where I'm at. I'm just, like, realizing this because, like, God's just being like, you're having trouble with your survivor's guilt dilemma. Like, the fact that, like, it seems like everyone has to be stepped on for me to be justified. Is ironic because I feel like I physically, like, in my incubation and in my, like, you know, everyone's, like, serious and not so serious harassment of me is, like, me being stepped on in order to, like, justify everyone else in the end. Is like I don't know, I don't explain. I think that's clear for now. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Like, I just have to get over it. I have to, like, work it through it. I have to embrace it. I don't know what I have to do, but my redemption isn't stop at my redemption. It will enable a new standard. It just maybe feels really uncomfortable to people because it's what they think of who I am. I just hate that this always comes back to being really misunderstood. And then where God's at is a beautiful, God's at many places, but like this one thing that has been very clear and I feel comfortable speaking on is, I'll tell you what it is and then I'll tell you how I like came to it, which is really funny. But so God is I am. This is finally what God has been waiting for. Like, and like that confirmation of that that God feeling that way is it's a huge deal, because it's like, you know, like I'm not like perfect and everybody's not convinced yet of anything, but this is a trajectory for God's realization. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. So it's kind of like, it's great because doing nothing more and doing nothing less is like necessary right now. And like it's exactly like, I mean, people say this, like we are where we're supposed to be, but like for God to say that is like, it's not just like you're going through something natural, it's a natural process. No, like it was like, this is what God, like the sentiment was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like this is, and it's kind of reiterates this thing that God keeps coming back to, that it's like, this is the beginning. And I always say it like hella abusively to people. Like, I'm like, it hasn't even started yet. Like, don't be annoyed, you know, but like, that's because it's like, this is the beginning. Like, this is the very, very start of the way things are meant to be. And it is a rocky start, and it's supposed to be, but like, it's also maybe that, I used to call it, excuse me. I used to call it baseline. Maybe the baseline is finally established, and it's finally like, this is where, I don't know, anyways, I'm speaking more than my understanding, but like how I came to that, what's it called? The echo, the clarity, the understanding, was, I was, excuse me. This is kind of embarrassing. What's new? But, I was realizing I was like sitting there in like a dress and flip-flops and, I don't know. I just had this moment of like kind of surrender to myself where I was like, I used to be like a really insecure little, I mean, I'm insecure, but like, I was like, I don't know, like, I mean, when people make fun of me about like my toes and how I smell and the way I dress, like, I was like always really insecure about those things in this way that like I didn't really like myself. Like, and I was sitting there just kind of, I don't know, it was like after work or something, and I was finally like, I remember a time when I would never have worn like unshaved legs with flip-flops and a dress. Like, I don't know what it was, but I was like, it was this moment of like, I'm finally comfortable with myself in this way that I've always coveted. Like, in this way that I've always been like, I wish, like, my skin's not totally clear, but, like, there's just, like, this self-care component that's going on in my life that's expensive as fuck, but, like, that is, I'm very committed to, that is, like, it's just, like, I'm seeing results, and it's funny because I'm, like, bigger than I've ever been, and so uncomfortable with, like, so much, but, like, there's this like, acceptance around, like, just being comfortable with myself. I mean, I think it's always, I mean, I think it's natural to, like, not achieve until later in life, but, like, confessional. Anyways, I was sitting there being like, oh, this is, like, finally the way I've wanted to feel about myself, and got echoed that. And echoed it in an understanding of, this is finally the way I've wanted to be. And it's, I mean, it is incredibly validating because I'm struggling so much that I'm like, how can this finally be? But, like, in a hope instilling way. I'm like, apparently what I don't understand is good enough for God. And, like, like, I'm just very hopeful that, like, its understanding is, like, very promising in its eyes, because my limitation, my perspective and my limitations are, the limitations of my perspective make me, like, suffer and miserable. So I'm like, okay, like, it's wonderful. I'm glad that this is, like, the beginning of how you will have been wanting things for a long time, and it's not by chance that they're the way that he wants them, but it's like, finally, it's not like, and it's kind of an amazing place to be, not just because of, like, who I am, but, like, I just look at everyone and I'm like, I'm so excited for you. Like, I'm just, like, God is, like, I think, like, God is excited for us, I mean, God's always been excited for me, even though I don't, like, I'm like, why? Like, this sucks. But it was such a cool moment of, I don't know how to explain it. Okay. So where y'all are at is, kind of dealing with me not being where you left me. Where I'm at is kind of dealing with the survivor's guilt of my redemption and everything else. And then where God's at is, God's at a content and hopeful place for us. That's kind of a big deal. Yeah.